Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eddie Lager Power Hour. Little extra episode coming at you on a Thursday. We had so much fun streaming yesterday with the three of us, me, Carlos, and Noah, for our combined show that I figured I would give you guys an extra episode today. Pop in and react to some videos, answer some questions if you guys have them, and just hang out. So, yeah, if you as usual, if you send any super chats, I will make sure to answer those as soon as possible. But do remember that YouTube takes a devastating 30% of your super chats. So if you really want to support the show financially, the best way to do so is patreon.com/MidwesternMarks. You get a whole bunch of benefits with that. You get access to my Patreon exclusive TikTok videos. You get a copy of Carlos's book, The Purity Fetish and the Crisis of Western Marxism, which is crooked up there. But yeah, appreciate everybody's support. We're going to have an awesome midday show today. So we'll get right into it after the intro.
High Sheriff, hard man to be. High Sheriff is his only plan. He digs through pockets, takes what he can, for he's High Sheriff Hazard. He caught me one evening, and here's what he said: "You look like a Russian, you look like a red, and if you're fond of your skin and your head, beware the High Sheriff of Hazard." The answer is simple, the answer is clear. We all get together, ain't got nothing to fear. We throw the old bastard right out on his ear. Farewell to High Sheriff Hazard.
All right. Peace out, Sheriff Hazard. Buy the book. Buy the book. Yes, absolutely. I fixed it. It's no longer crooked. By the way, this is what a man's bookshelf looks like. For those of you who don't know, I see every academic, or everybody who fancies themselves an academic, does interviews in front of a bookshelf. Right? It's a very common thing to make yourself look smart. Look at all these books I've read. Sometimes it seems like a lot of these academics haven't read half the books they have on their shelves, but I digress. This is what a man's bookshelf looks like. Let's go through this here. First of all, we have Khomeini on the currency. Okay, that's currency directly from Iran, sent to me by an audience member. Shout out to the guy who sent me that. And behind it, we have the Bolivarian currency. We have the currency of the Venezuelan Socialist Revolution. Very base. Next to that, we have The Purity Fetish and the Crisis of Western Marxism by Carlos Garrido. All my books on the top shelf are good. Well, a couple of them are books that I got for Christmas that I never read. But most of them are good. You got Capital up there, all three of them. But the Purity Fetish stands out because you should buy it at midwesternmarks.com. Then next to that, we have the 3D printed Karl Marx. Okay, looking down on us, making sure I don't say anything theoretically incorrect. This is why I'm never wrong. I have Marx looking over my shoulder all the time. Okay. And then now, new cop, the bust of Lenin that I got from Florida, that came from either Stalingrad or Leningrad in the 1960s. I can't remember which one. I think Stalingrad, but got Marxism, Leninism, right? You got to put Marx first, Lenin second. Marxism, Leninism in chronological order. Okay. Somebody get me a bust of Mao, please. And a Stalin bust. I almost bought the Stalin bust, but I decided to save my money. And then we got the globe from my parents. Underneath that, Che Guevara clock, Midwestern Marx Theoretical Journal, Red America, or sorry, the Journal of American Socialist Studies. Okay. The Midwestern Marx Theoretical Journal, and then Red America, which I often find Che Guevara reading in here on his own. He really likes what we're doing with Red America. And you can purchase your own subscription to Red America. I get a nice little package in the mail every month, and I always get excited. I'm like, ooh, it's maybe this is a bourgeois tendency, but everybody likes getting a package in the mail. It's a dopamine release. So every month, if you subscribe to Red America, you will get that dopamine hit as Red America arrives in your mailbox. Jeez, what did I just drop? Oh, it's a monitor. We're good. How did that fall? Oh, my monitor cable got caught in my chair. Hold on, folks. Technical difficulties, technical emergency. Oh, it's really stuck in there. Good thing this is an old shitty monitor. Ah. Oh, wow. All right, we got her. All is good in the world. All is good in the hood. But anyways, this is what a man's bookshelf looks like, okay? A hard-working man. And acp.us, if you'd like to get your own copy of Red America, the party's theoretical journal. W Bus, thank you. I need to get a bookshelf soon, but I'm mostly an online reader. Oh, yeah, I can't do that. I cannot do that. So I needed a bookshelf. My mom refurbished my old childhood bookshelf for me, which is really cool to have that now here looking fresh. I also have the wrestling trophies, okay? So not only do we civilize the mind, but we also make savage the body. We got the Wrestling All-American Awards up here. I have more, but I don't know where the hell I put them. Got those right above the books. Where are my other awards? I don't want to lose those. I'll find them at some point. I've got a bunch of little stop sign looking things, which are a little bit of a big deal in the wrestling world, so I should probably find them, but whatever. I'm working on something for Red America and our Midwestern Marx based. I can't wait to read that. It should be fun. I love my Chinese ink. Nice. E-ink. I don't even know what that is. But I'm sure it's cool if it's from China. What up, Eddie? Hope everything's going good. Thank you, Mecca Gaddafi. Same to you. Everything is going good. We're going to have a great show today. I wanted to start out talking about the Theo Von Gaza thing, because I think it's interesting. He got, and I guess he has like a pretty large conservative audience. I don't know how many liberals he has in his audience. Probably a lot. Theo Von's one of those people who can like connect with everyone across the political spectrum. I've heard some people who hate him, like leftists who hate him, but overall, he generally. Oops, my monitor fell. He tends to connect with people across the political spectrum. But he has been facing an insane amount of backlash. Obviously, a lot of it is like, Zionist Hezbollah manufactured backlash. Okay, the stupid thing to prop up my monitor is not working at all. I swear none of these work. I've never gotten like a prop for a monitor for an iPad or whatever that actually works well. They always just fall apart. It's so stupid. Did I get it? Is that how you do it? All right, I think I got it. I think I forced it to work well. All right, let's hope that sticks. Anyways, there has been a massive coordinated attack against Theo, obviously, which is what happens when you speak out for Palestine. But it was on a level that I didn't even expect. Because in his video, it was so like honest and almost apolitical, and of course we know the Palestine issue is common sense, right? It's even if you're apolitical, you should be able to see which side is committing the evil here and which side is defending themselves and their people and their children and their land. But Theo doesn't even, he tries to make it as apolitical as possible. It's so tragic watching these videos of children die, and the backlash against him has been horrific from neoliberals and from conservatives alike. So here's what Philip DeFranco had to say about it. I figured we would use his breakdown since we've been talking about him a lot lately. But let's check this out. Let me know how the sound is.
Is getting a lot of love and a lot of hate around Gaza right now. Right, and that after he shared a clip where he expressed sympathy and heartbreak for those in Gaza and called what was happening there genocide.
There's a conflict that's been happening in the Middle East. People know about it, between Israel and Palestine and some of the areas over there, the Gaza area they talk about. And I just think it feels to me, I don't know if it feels to me like it's a genocide that's happening while we're alive here in front of our lives. And I don't, sometimes I feel like I should say something. I'm not
and of course people are mocking him for not being like an academic, right? For speaking from the heart instead of writing out something that uses a bunch of intellectual jargon, right? And making some Norman Finkelstein style argument in favor of genocide that digs into international law and the precedents for genocide in the past, and systematically compiles the evidence by reading every human rights report from the last decade, right? Because he doesn't do that, and he just speaks from the heart and says, you know what, these children being blown up with my tax dollars, fuck this sucks. This is horrible. I can't believe I'm watching this and I'm watching my government do this. Because he spoke from the heart like that, they're mocking him and treating him like an idiot. Oh, this dumbass. He was tricked by the Palestinian AI technology that makes all these videos. What a dumbass. He's so stupid. They're just like mocking his intelligence, which is what Zionists do. They're such sick, evil people. Right? When somebody actually speaks from the heart, a Zionist can't understand that because they have no heart. So they just think it's stupidity.
Geologist or geographer or anything like that, so I don't know a lot of some of it I do know though. Like I know the basics of the issues over there, but for me, it's just like how I feel.
But with Theo saying he's seen photos of people, children, families with their body parts hurt or scattered, and it feels hard to watch this without speaking out about it, and adding,
I think we're watching probably like, one of the sickest things that's ever happened. And I'm sorry if I've kind of haven't said about it. I've tried to talk about it and learn about it.
And while he originally said all this during an episode of his podcast earlier this month, he just shared that clip on Twitter and TikTok yesterday with the caption, "What are we doing?" With, bringing in a whole new wave of responses and reactions, right? Some shocked that he shared his opinion, especially since he's often considered part of the podcasting manosphere, or at least as overlapping with that community, and some seeing him as a kind of a Joe Rogan heir apparent, especially as he also attended Trump's inauguration alongside people like...
That's so stupid. To see Theo Von as the Joe Rogan heir apparent. I get that they're both like nice guys, but those two's they're like easy to talk to, right? And everyone gets along with them. Kind of left wing, but also conservative leaning at the same time, because we live in this weird political era with populist Trump and the transformation of the Republican Party because of Trump and all that. But those two's personalities are so different. And if you expect Theo Von to just sign a bajillion dollar Spotify deal and have CIA analysts on his show and say whatever you want, the way that Rogan does a lot of the time now, I think you have another thing coming, right? That guy's going to speak from the heart. And people say, you know, then he went and partied with Trump Gaza. Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, it's almost like the Jackson Hinkle phenomenon, right? Sure, he has this disagreement with Trump, but he's still willing to go hang out with Trump. He still has this massive MAGA audience. But he's not, the thing is, he's not captive to that audience, right? He's not like Joe Rogan, who will ignore all criticism of Elon Musk, who won't say a bad word about Elon Musk because he supports them politically. He's coming out and saying exactly what Trump and the elites who are trying to control the MAGA movement for their own interests don't want him to say about Gaza. He's coming forward and telling that MAGA audience, this is sick. This is a genocide. I am against this. Right. So I'm not that concerned about the fact that he, you know, hangs out with Trump or has a MAGA audience when he's risking his own career to speak out against the imperialist things that the Trump administration is doing, that they're continuing from the Biden administration. I actually appreciate that a lot. And I think it's okay to sit down and meet with people who you disagree with, so long as you don't become captive to those people. And so many people nowadays are captive to their audience, you know. Just listen to the way that Hassan Piker talks about Russia, because he's captive to his liberal audience and they expect him to badmouth Russia and not be a tanky. Right? There's so many people who are just completely bitched by their audience. And to see that he's not, even when he's this successful, is pretty awesome. Choosing to be on the right side of history, yes. Jackson Hinkle, that dude went, oh my, so you're just dumb? That dude went pro-Russia to pro-Palestine in less than 3 seconds? Bro, being an anti-imperialist means being pro-Russia and pro-Palestine. If you're pro-Ukraine, which is a U.S.-backed, you know, very neo-Nazi adjacent regime, then you're supporting the U.S., who's the ones funding Israel. The U.S. is backing Ukraine and Israel. They're arms of this giant Western capitalist empire. And Russia is fighting them, and Palestine is fighting them. So yes, Jackson supports Russia and Palestine in that fight. If you support Ukraine and Palestine, you're saying, I support U.S. neocolonialism over here, where it's being crushed, but I don't support it over here in Palestine when U.S. neocolonialism is winning. It's the same thing. Ukraine, Israel, same thing. You know what? You want me to prove it to you, buddy? Check this out. Atlantic Council, which is a mouthpiece of the military-industrial complex. Look at what their plan and Volodymyr Zelensky's plan and NATO's plan for Ukraine is. Zelensky wants Ukraine to be a big Israel. Here's a roadmap. That's how they see Ukraine and the Ukraine-Russia conflict. They see it as a big Israel, meaning a U.S. neo-colonial outpost that commits genocide in the region and allows them to control all its resources and allows them to have basically an unsinkable air carrier in East Europe. Okay, this is straight from the mouth of the military-industrial complex. So if you support big Israel, Ukraine, but you don't support small Israel, I find that pretty inconsistent. Neo-Nazi Ukraine, what you smoking, bro? I need you to watch something. I need you to watch a movie called Ukraine on Fire. Because you know what? You're acting so confident here, but you're speaking about things you don't understand. Because even the Western media in 2014 and 2015, or before then, were talking endlessly about the neo-Nazi problem in Ukraine. The fact that they had camps where they were training people up in Banderite ideology, training up kids in the ideology of Stefan Bandera, a Ukrainian nationalist who collaborated with Hitler to commit some of the worst massacres of World War II. That's the dominant ideology in Ukraine that the CIA, through various operations, but especially Operation Aerodynamic, Google that. This ideology is what the CIA has been propping up in Ukraine in order to fight communism since the end of World War II. and it was U.S.-backed and funded neo-Nazis who escalated the 2014 Euromaidan protests into an actual coup, into the overthrow of the actual government. So now, after that, the Azov Battalion and other explicitly neo-Nazi militia groups were brought into Ukraine's actual military. This would be like the U.S. bringing the KKK into the National Guard, and they started massacring ethnic Russians in the eastern part of Ukraine. So yes, Ukraine does have a neo-Nazi problem. Yes, they have neo-Nazis in their actual government. This is a fact that you can chat GPT or Google. So yes, they are a neo-Nazi adjacent country, just like we would be a white supremacist adjacent country if we had the Ku Klux Klan running our military. This is all out there, right? I don't know how you're so far behind, 2 years after the invasion started. But if you watch this movie, thankfully it compiles sort of almost systematically all of the evidence that I'm relaying to you now, and puts it into a movie form that's easy to digest and understand. But yes, if you support Ukraine but not Israel, your ideology is inconsistent, because you're supporting U.S. imperialism and fascism in East Europe while condemning it in the Middle East. Sorry, that was not a detour I expected to go on today. But there we go, because I haven't talked about that enough on the channel. Anyways, let's finish.
The Paul brothers. And so you had some on the left pleasantly surprised that he felt this way about Gaza and writing. It's so important for people like Theo Von to be saying this stuff with their demographic. But then also, he got a ton of backlash for a number of different reasons. You had some furious at him for speaking out about this, but not being as vocal about October 7th. You also had a number of people on both sides of the issue kind of just thinking he didn't really understand the conflict enough.
All countries have explicitly neo-Nazi units? Bro, what? Where in the U.S. military are there units that are painting the swastika inside their military bases like we've seen in Ukraine? Where are the American military units that all wear the patch of Stefan Bandera or even literal swastikas? I'm sorry, the U.S. is a very fascistic country, but we don't have explicit neo-Nazi militias in our military. We don't allow the Ku Klux Klan into our military. That's a very unique thing. That's an actual fascist state, which is what the U.S. has turned Ukraine into. Because as usual, the U.S. is the #1 exporter of fascism in the world. They don't mind fascism at all, so long as it serves their interests. You guys need to read a little more. You're 2 years late on this, 3 years late on this. You're way late on this. You're way far behind, and you're telling other people to wake up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Enough to deliver a take on it. But that's also not where the controversy ended, because you also had a number of people frustrated that he said this even though he associates himself with Trump, or with him among other things, having just been in Miami with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, and he made an appearance during Trump's visit to Qatar doing a stand-up set before the president delivered remarks. And so with this, you have some saying he's not just kind of MAGA adjacent, he's fully part of Team Trump. And all of this is Trump really hasn't been seen as Gaza friendly, and even
clearly not. Of course, Phil DeFranco ends by bad-mouthing Theo. Of course he did. Apparently not. He's not fully MAGA, because he's not fully on board with their Gaza plan. I'm sure he likes that Trump wants to end the war in Ukraine, but he's calling for him to end the war in the Middle East too.
And shared a video reimagining the Gaza Strip as like a giant Mar-a-Lago. But again, depending on where you go on the internet, drastically different reactions. And so while all of this is playing out, I then got to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts around this? And I'll leave that as kind of a more open question, because there are some black and white takes that I've seen and some kind of more nuanced ones.
I love how liberals always pretend to be non-ideological. I'm just doing fact-based, unbiased reporting. Because unbiased reporting is totally something that can exist. I'm definitely not just being a mouthpiece for the ruling economic class and for the status quo and for the establishment by trying to appear as unbiased. Ooh, Phil. You're a grifter too. Yeah, that's what all grifters do, is call out the U.S. empire. Right. That's why I've been banned on TikTok 8 times for criticizing the same narrative that you're pushing and that Philip DeFranco was pushing on the Ukraine-Russia issue. I'm such a grifter I stood on principles and got banned 8 times and had my income cut out from under my feet 8 times just because I'm in it for the money. Do you even listen to the stuff that you're saying? Do you even think, or do you just repeat MSNBC talking points in my chat? TikTok Chinese. No, TikTok's American servers are run by a company called Oracle, which is based in Texas, because I believe it was the Trump administration forced TikTok to hand over management of their American servers to Oracle, who then hired a bunch of CIA operatives and NATO operatives, which shortly after that was the first time I got banned, and the next 7. So again, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I'm going to kick you out of my chat because we don't allow artards here. Okay, that's enough of that guy. Okay. Elon Musk unions. Let's go to the next segment. Appreciate what you're doing. Ignore the haters. Thank you. Yes, I'll start ignoring them. Sorry. They were actually making a substantive argument
for you.
So I figured I'd respond. A very stupid one, but a substantive argument nonetheless. But as with many liberals, once you start actually challenging them on the substance of their arguments, they just start basically trolling and calling you a Russian asset because their brains don't work. So they just resort to talking points. Noah talks about this a lot, how liberals don't really think. Their brains actually don't really work. They don't investigate their preconceptions at all to figure out what they got wrong or what they have wrong or what they don't understand. They have this elitist mindset that they're the smart ones and the conservatives are the dumb ones, so they have nothing else to learn. And then they just fall back to these talking points and these preconceptions that they have, which they never critically investigate. And it actually like ruins your ability to think. You see yourself being up on a pedestal. You see yourself as being more intelligent than the basket of deplorable conservatives. So it actually makes you the dumbest person of all. It makes you the biggest sheep of all because you're never critically interrogating what you actually believe. You're just accepting it because you already believe you're the smartest. I wish I was a Russian asset. I'm broke. Facts, brother. I support PR independence, not statehood. Wouldn't it be better to have another diverse state in the U.S. or Puerto Rico to have full representation? If that's what they want, but I don't see how you can have an independent country that is Cuba and then have Puerto Rico be an American state. You know, and the Puerto Rico independence movement used to be very strong. It's the effect of colonialism that's kind of crushed it. The U.S. interventionism that's crushed it. And then from that has flowed the idea that, well, maybe we'll just be a U.S. state, right? If independence is dead, let's just make ourselves a state so we're not a territory anymore. We're not just a literal colony in the 21st century. But I still think independence is the answer, right? I think independence as a country gets to the root of the problem. I don't think they, historically, they should be a U.S. state or constitute part of the U.S. nation. I think they are their own independent nation the same way that Cuba is. So it's like two wings of the same bird, is how independence activists have described it in the past. Cuba and Puerto Rico are two wings of the same bird. And you can't have one, be an independent, socialist, sovereign country, and the other is a state that belongs to the U.S. Maybe in a situation where the U.S. is socialist and we have some sort of Central American alliance and interconnection the same way the Soviet republics did. But I still think they should have sovereignty and act as their own country because they are their own country. They were never intended to be a U.S. state. So good question, though. Thank you. All right, let's check out this hilarious video. This will make you laugh. And maybe make you a little angry, but we'll see.
You're headed back to Texas after this to launch the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big launch. But I wanted to ask you right now, more broadly, just about the car business and what you see actually happening. And specifically, the government put in place lots of policies, as you know, to try to encourage more EVs. And one of the things that's happened uniquely is you have now a lot of car companies saying, actually, this is too ambitious for us. These plans are too ambitious. 4,000 dealers, I don't know if you saw just yesterday, sent a letter to the White House saying, this has gone too far. You're going too far. You had this
anti-EV?
It was this is going too fast, too far, and that there's not enough demand. Underneath all this is this idea that maybe there's not enough demand for EVs, that the American public has not bought into they bought into it with your company, but they haven't bought into it broadly enough.
Well, I think if you make a compelling electric car, people will buy it, no question about it. I mean, electric car sales in China are gigantic. That's by far the biggest category. Right. And I think that would be, I mean, it's worth noting, okay, so probably the best refutation of that is that the Tesla Model Y will be the best-selling car of any kind on Earth this year.
Tesla is getting crushed by BYD in China, by the way. Because BYD controls the entire supply chain, meaning the supply chain for batteries, because China's socialist and they actually have an integrated economy, they're able to offer cars that are just as high performance as Tesla for a fraction of the price. So I believe Tesla's cheapest electric vehicle is over $40,000, whereas BYD's is $16,000. And that's because, like I said, they're able to buy it cheaper, whereas Elon Musk has to buy his batteries and his lithium from private companies who are also trying to price gouge, who are also trying to make money off of the electric car industry. So socialism has allowed China's electric car companies to crush Tesla, which is very interesting, very awesome.
Of any kind, gasoline or otherwise.
Is there another car company that you think is doing a good job with EVs?
I mean, I think the Chinese car companies are extremely competitive. By far, our toughest competition is in China. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who out there who think that the top 10 car companies is going to be Tesla, followed by 9 Chinese car companies. I think they might not be wrong. So, China is super good at manufacturing, and the work ethic is incredible. So,
I love when capitalists have to admit how well China is doing. They're very good at manufacturing. Holy cow. It's almost like they have superior relations of production. It's almost like they have a superior mode of production, and capitalism is holding us back. It's holding him back. It's forcing him to buy lithium batteries from some third-party country that's price gouging Tesla, rather than just owning or having control of the lithium mining directly, and having it feed right into wherever the state central plan wants it to go, in this case, electric cars.
Like if we consider different leagues of competitiveness at Tesla, we consider the Chinese league to be the most competitive. And by the way, we do very well in China because our China team is the best China.
How worried are you that the unionization effort that just took place well, I shouldn't say effort, but the new wages and the like at GM and Ford, that they're coming for you? And they are coming.
They are. Oh, he said they are coming for me. Yes. But one of Elon Musk's only skills, right? This is a guy who pretends he's the world's greatest Diablo player, the world's greatest manufacturing expert, the world's greatest engineer. He wants you to think he's a real-life Tony Stark. In reality, no. His number one skill is union busting and buying up profitable companies. His number one skill is working the top engineers in the country 80 hours a week to make him rich. And then they leave his company after 2 years and put Tesla on their resume so they can get hired elsewhere. At NASA, the engineers refer to SpaceX, which is also in Florida, has a plant in Florida, as SlaveX. And that's what they say. Engineers go there, they work their butt off for 2 years, 80 hours a week, just grind. And then they can put, I worked at Tesla on their resume, so they quit and work elsewhere. That's what Elon Musk is good at. Sucking the most mental and physical labor that he possibly can out of some of the brightest minds in the country, and then pretending like he invented it all himself.
Coming for you. What is that going to mean to you in your business?
Well, I think it's generally not good to have an adversarial relationship between people online, one group at the company and another group. In fact, I disagree with the idea of unions, but perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a kind of sort of lords and peasants situation.
No, buddy, that's exactly the reason I would expect. It's exactly the reason I would expect, because they create a lords and peasants situation, as in a revolutionary situation, a situation where the peasants are getting together and fighting back against the lords. But it's interesting how he goes to the feudal relations of production to describe capitalist relations of production. right? As if under capitalism, there is no dynamic where there's owner and worker, as if there's no dominance under capitalism. That's a thing of the past. Under feudalism, we had peasants and lords, but I'm not a modern day lord, as I lord over you and own everything that you use, as people starve and, you know, go homeless and have all these economic struggles and are trapped in debt. While I have billions and billions and billions of dollars, I'm not a lord, as I own all of the land that the people work underneath me. That's not what a lord does. We live under capitalism now. There's no lord-peasant relationship. That relationship already exists. You are the lord, dumbass, and that's why the incentive for unions exist. That's why your employees want to unionize, because you have all the control, you have all the power, you're working them to death. And then you're taking credit for their inventions. You're so arrogant that you have to pretend like you're a Tony Stark type figure who's doing all of the engineering yourself while you're just working your employees into the ground. You are the lord. Your workers are the peasants. It's not the unions that created that. That situation already existed. The unions exist because of that situation, because the peasants want to fight back against disgusting Minecraft characters like you, who sit on your yacht and date pop stars and OnlyFans models all day, while some of the brightest minds in the country and actual hardworking people are making you more and more and more and more money. That's why they want a union, dumbass.
There are many people at Tesla who have gone from working on the line to being in senior management. There is no lords and peasants. Everyone eats at the same table. Everyone parks in the same.
Everyone eats at the same table. Everyone gets a share of my wealth. My employees have the ability to become managers, so therefore I'm not exploiting them. Right? Even though my net worth is going up and up and up and up every year, while Americans' relative share of the wealth, or working class Americans' relative share of the wealth, is going down and down and down and down, everyone eats at the same table. When I'm successful, everyone's successful. Citation needed. It might feel like that from your yacht, dumbass, but for those of us who can't afford rent, it doesn't feel so great. It doesn't feel like we're eating at your table. God, these people get so out of touch. It's insane. When you're that wealthy and you're surrounded by other people who are that wealthy, you start to think that everyone in the country thinks the way you do. And you say ridiculous stuff like this and expect that people won't be able to see through it immediately.
Parking lot. You know, at GM, there's a special elevator only for senior executives. We have no such thing at Tesla.
We don't have our own elevator. I'm not exploiting my workers. I let them use the elevator. These people are so fucking stupid, dude. Oh, being a capitalist literally wrecks your freaking brain. Oh my, and ketamine, I guess. And, you know, way too much Twitter.
And the thing is, I actually know the people on the line because I worked on the line and I walked the line and I slept in the factory and I worked beside them. So I'm no stranger to them.
I went and worked them. I'm sure that was like Trump when he worked at McDonald's. Buddy, your dad owned an emerald apartheid mine. You've never done a hard day's work in your life. You inherited your wealth. Your dad owned a mine. That's not normal. Your workers' dads didn't own mines. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the factory. They'd be where you're at. You're not a working class guy. You didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Your dad made your wealth off the backs of black South Africans living under apartheid. I'm noticing an uptick in veil being lifted from World War II types of vids in the algorithm that seem to dance around fascism while still demonizing communism. Have you covered any yet? Yes, that's a huge thing on Elon's X platform. I'm not sure if it's being algorithmically pushed, but there's a lot of Hitlerism and fascism, brazenly picking up steam and going viral on X, while communist content seems to be suppressed. So maybe I'll do a whole segment on that at some point. I've done a lot of tweets about it, but yeah, thank you, comrade, for the $10 super chat and for being a member. YouTube members get a bunch of perks like Carlos's book, pretty much the same perks you get for being a Patreon supporter. So thank you very much for that. Wealth is a disease that is a fetter on human intellectual development. Yes. Well, I mean, exorbitant wealth that you make off the backs of everyone else.
And there actually many times where I've said, well, can't we just hold a union vote? But apparently a company is not allowed to hold a union vote. So it has to be somehow called for, but the union can't do it. So I said, well, let's just hold a vote and see what happens. The actual problem is the opposite. It's not that people are trapped at Tesla building cars. The challenge is how do we retain great people to do the hard work of building cars?
See? Remember what I just told you about Tesla? Their working conditions are so shit that people go and work there for 2 years so they can put it on their resume. And what does he say? What is his view on that? Oh, it's really hard to retain people. It's really hard to get people to stay at my company and view it as a family. Even though they're all eating from my table, I can't get any of them to stay. I can't get any of them to stay and keep eating from the Tesla table. Fucking idiot. The reason they're leaving your company is because it sucks. Because you're working them 80 hours a week. Because you're not letting them have a union or normal benefits. Because you are a lord and they are the serfs. That's why people leave your company. I mean, how arrogant you got to be like, my company's the best. Everybody eats from my table, but for some reason, I can't retain any employees. Holy shit.
When they have like 6 other opportunities that they can do that are easier. That's the actual difficulty, is that building cars is hard work. And there are...
Building cars is hard work. It is. But there are other companies that give you break time. There are other companies that let you have a union and let you have protections. They tell on themselves, bro. They're so stupid. I mean, that guy. I've never seen someone with more misplaced confidence or more misplaced support. The video game thing was weird, and I get that this isn't like hyper political. It's kind of like a TMZ type of deal. But he lied about being good at video games. He lied about being one of the best in the world at Path of Exile 2 and Diablo. He said that he had one of the highest scores in the world, and then he streamed himself playing, and experts who play that game, experts, meaning gamers, were like, clearly, just by the way that he's interacting with the game and the UI, he's never played this game in his life, or maybe he's an absolute beginner. So this is a guy who is paying people to level him up in a video game so he could go on Twitter and lie and say that he's the best. That's the kind of twisted, fucked up consciousness that capitalism creates among the capitalist class. Elon Musk is like a perfect representation of the disturbed, drug-addicted, overly arrogant, self-promoting narcissists that this system creates and elevates to the top. You know, the kind of narcissism you could only get if your dad owned an emerald apartheid mine and you told yourself that you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. Musk is a fake gamer. This is our way to win over that side. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I always talk about that. I'm like, is this not weird? Is this not weird that the capitalists are now paying people in order to trick you into thinking they're good at gaming? Is that not a sign that we live in a twisted society run by twisted people? Come on, gamers. Stand up for yourselves. It's time to make a union and unionize Tesla. By the way, we had a pretty viral video here. Not super viral, but viral based on the size of the account. Carlos started a TikTok account recently because we want him to start building up his own. Because I think the TikTok algorithm is suppressing us when he posts on my account. And I looked it up, and it says the algorithm will sense if you're logging in from different areas, and it'll shadow ban you because they think you're a bot. So we wanted to stop doing that and have him make his own account. Be sure to follow right here. I'm not logged in, but I am following him. I swear, Carlos. Professor Carlos El Garrido. And he did a video on Elon Musk that went pretty viral based on the size of the account. But please follow. Please boost his videos. We're trying to get this account off the ground. It's not easy to get a new account off the ground. But if you have a TikTok account or multiple TikTok accounts, follow Carlos and boost his. At least probably boost his Elon Musk video because that's the one that's doing the best. Where's the sound? Oh, I think I muted it last night.
Which creates kind of a lordism.
Oops.
I disagree with the idea of unions, perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a sort of lords and peasants situation.
Okay, so that's not the actual reason, because the lord and peasant situation already exists between the capitalist and the worker. The real reason why he doesn't like unions is because unions work as a bundle of sticks. You can pick up one stick on the ground and you can break it quite easily. That's what happens when a worker tries to bargain with their boss when they're alone. But if you pick up a whole bundle of sticks, that's a whole lot harder to break. That's what the union affords you. The union affords you strength. It affords you consciousness of that relationship between the peasant and the lord. And that's what Musk really doesn't like. But I say this, let him continue his union busting practices. You know why? Because him and his billionaire buddy friends like Bezos and others are just showing to the working class that they're only one small part of the problem, that the actual problem is the system that they are a personification of.
Great video there. So yes, please follow Carlos if you have a TikTok account, trying to get that account off the ground. Yeah, that was a great video. Pure projection by Elon. Still can't believe Musk is built like a Cybertruck. That's what he modeled it off of. He's like, we need a truck that looks as deformed as me. And then we got the Cybertruck. So shout out to him for that. I have to go to the bathroom, folks, but I'm going to play a song for you. Here we go. This is a good one. Shout out to our boy Treasy, ACP member and rapper, who wrote this awesome song. Check it out, and I'll be back from the bathroom in a sec.
Andrew Dean.
Hey, strapped up boy, yeah, you know I'm a Maoist. Run up on me, find out I'm about it. Got a red book and I can't leave without it. Glock in the party, oh my god, I'm the loudest. Still graduated, selling dope, I'm the proudest. I just stay quiet, I just wanna riot. I'm so defiant, they dope you up and turn you to a client. They dope you up and turn strapped up boy, yeah, you know I'm a Maoist. Run up on me, find out I'm about it. Got a red book and I can't leave without it. Glock in the party, oh my god, I'm the loudest. Still graduated, selling dope, I'm the proudest. I just stay quiet, I just wanna riot. I'm so defiant, they dope you up and turn you to a client. They dope you up and turn you to a no one. Say no to drugs, but you know I'm a raw one. Bend you and twist you and make you a person. Working and slaving, no, that's not a purpose. Money and products, man, that's just a surface. Know that it's wrong, but you still gonna purchase. Don't even matter, get clean at the churches. Don't even matter, get clean at the churches. Drugs in the wig got me driving all nervous. I'm with the boys and we look like a circus. I'm with the boys and we really be on it. Might take your dates, I just wanna be honest. Strapped.
Whoops. A bunch of my videos have been getting copyright warnings recently. I wonder if it's because of Treasy's videos, if YouTube does that automatically, that would be hilarious because I'm pretty sure he's okay with me using them for the show. Just hung out with a guy in Florida and he's in the media department and he's a communist. So I'm assuming he's not a big intellectual property fan. And he's in the party. So I know he's willing to do anything to help the party. So YouTube, stop copyright infringing me for playing Treasy if that's why you're doing it. But shout out to our boy ACP Florida on top. You bet. Let's go ACP Florida. I got to meet with Comrade Lane 2006, which is not his real name. When I was in Florida, I got to meet with Treasy. I got to meet with a bunch of the members of the Florida chapter. It was really awesome. It was great to be there. So loving your work, Eddie. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Oh, we got some super chats. Who does the ACP theme, Sheriff Hazard? Is it posted somewhere? We're going to start posting a lot of our music on Spotify. That's a thing that the media department is working on, more so the music division, which I'm less involved with in terms of direct oversight. But yeah, one of the things they're working on is getting a lot of our music up on Spotify. That's actually the Midwestern Marks theme song, not the ACP theme song. I don't think the ACP has a theme song. If we did, it would be Marching to Georgia, maybe? I don't know. The Tramp, Tramp, Tramp song. Either way, that's the Midwestern Marx theme, but it was created by the great Jesus Motorcycle, who is my deputy in the American Communist Party. He works directly under me in the media department. He's a Politburo member. And you can find him on X right here at Jesus Motorcycle. And in real life, he actually looks like Jesus Motorcycle, too. There he is. So here's the GOAT himself. He's a really, really top tier AI artist, and he's actually training everybody in our department in these AI skills, which is very exciting for me. I've learned a ton from him in taking these AI classes, these editing classes that he's been doing. So he's brilliant. Please, please, please give him a follow and boost his work when you see it, because it's not as popular as it should be. Great question. And thank you for the $5, comrade. I saw a video earlier today which said the design for Elon Cybertruck was inspired by the aesthetics of Italian futurism. That doesn't sound good. Before I even read the last part of your super chat, I was like, Italian futurism? Whoever the Italian futurists were, how'd they feel about Mussolini? And then, yeah, whose artists were fascists? Yeah, that's about what I expected. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Inspired by Italian futurism. Yep. I mean, they said they're not directly inspired by it, but if you look at Italian futurism, it looks very similar. Let me try to find some stuff for you that looks similar to Cybertruck. That's real. Holy shit. Look at this. Look at this Italian futurist painting. I didn't think this was real at first. I thought someone just made this to try and prove a point, but look at that. I mean, I think the front part, they replaced it with a Cybertruck, but this back part was an Italian futurist car design. It looks just like the Cybertruck. And then, of course, it's connected to fascism, too. Interesting. Interesting. I did not know that. Thank you, Michelle Vincent Corbeau, longtime supporter, YouTube member, maybe even a Patreon supporter as well. I think he supports us at just about everywhere that you can, so we really appreciate that. 10 gifted memberships, VLX, let's go. Double flex for that one. Thank you so much, comrade. That's huge. Shout out to whoever gets those memberships. I hope you enjoy them. Make sure to take advantage of the perks that you get. You get like some emojis, and I think you get Carlos's book if you're a $10 membership supporter or a $10 member. So thank you so much, VLX. I appreciate that a ton. I'm sure whoever got those memberships appreciates that a ton. As we were saying yesterday on the show, every dollar that you give to the Institute, you know that we're not trying to enrich ourselves. Our goal is not to become wealthy. Our goal is to support the work of the ACP and produce better content here at Midwestern Marx that can aid the work of the ACP, that can aid the class struggle. That's our primary goal. We just take enough money to subsist, to continue surviving, and sometimes we even take a little less than that. But all of your money gets transformed into class struggle, so we appreciate it. We like to say, if you're too busy to really be active in the struggle, doing work on the ground and, producing educational content, educating others, doing all that, organizing workplaces. If you're too busy, just join the ACP as a reserve member and give the party $15 a month, right? Then your money, your time, your labor, the paper representation of your labor time is being transformed into something that will help the class struggle. And, same when you give to Midwestern Marx or to Infrared or whatever, even if you're not actively on the ground organizing communities and workplaces, at least you're giving, a fraction of your labor value to an organization that is advancing that class struggle. So, Kenny, new member. Thank you, comrade. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoy being a member. Hope you enjoy the perks that you get with that. Appreciate you. And of course, we also have our Patreon account. If you guys don't want YouTube taking a fraction of your money. But thank you to all the super chatters and the gifters and the members, the new members today, especially the 10 new memberships. I love that. Thank you, comrade. Where to next? Oh gosh, do we want to watch this? I don't even know why I queued this one up. I have Chomsky speaking on Leninism queued up. Do we want to watch this, folks? Do we want to have a brain aneurysm today? Thank you, Indy Dilly. Let's go. New member. Everybody's becoming a member today. It's the cool thing to do. All the cool kids are doing it. Everyone's becoming a YouTube member. Don't be left out. Thank you so much, Indy Dilly. Everybody says no. Put it on 5x speed. Yeah, I'm going to cut that out of the show. I don't want to listen to Chomsky talk about Leninism, even though it'd probably go viral. What I do want to talk about is this. Ibrahim Traore being criticized by AP News, as usual. African leaders are being criticized. Revolutionary African leaders are being criticized by the Western corporations who want to exploit them and continue robbing them of their resources. Africa's youngest leader, a friend of Russia, is celebrated by some and criticized by others. Actually, he's widely celebrated. He's widely celebrated, and the only people criticizing him are imperialist propagandists and liars who want to help the corporations who are robbing Africa blind and the big banks that are trapping Africa in debt. Those are the people who Traore fights against, and that's why he has such wide support. But they're going to try to use his alliance with Russia to attack him. The same way that they've always done with African or anti-colonial revolutionary leaders in the past for allying with the USSR, as if they're just supposed to reject the USSR's support so they can remain pure and have their revolution in a pure state. Why would you do that? If there's another superpower fighting against the same imperialists as you, why wouldn't you accept their support? Makes no sense. Why would Traore not like Russia more than the United States when the United States is robbing its country blind, when it was the United States who helped kill Thomas Sankara, whereas Russia and the Soviet Union has always supported revolutionary movements in Africa and in the global South. And this is what the famed anti-apartheid leader of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, also said when he was famously asked by a Western journalist why he sides with the USSR and Castro's Cuba and Yasser Arafat in Palestine and these revolutionary leaders who the U.S. considered to be beyond the pale, to be authoritarian dictators. Why would Mandela allow
would you want
to fight against apartheid? Here, check out this concern trolling.
a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies.
Would you want
Journalist destroyed in 10 seconds. Oh, did I forget to play it on the screen? Did I show my face the whole time during that? Whoops.
a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies.
Amazing. Cold War rhetoric destroyed in 10 seconds. I love it. But of course, the USSR is fighting against apartheid. Castro's Cuba is fighting against apartheid. Yasser Arafat and the Palestinians are helping us fight against apartheid. Why would we reject their support because the United States doesn't like them. Because the Western imperialists who have been robbing Africa blind for years and years, the Western imperialists in Europe who brought us apartheid, they don't like Russia, so we have to dislike Russia? The fuck out of here. You know, that's all he had to say. Your enemies aren't our enemies. Piss off. We don't have to engage in Cold War rhetoric with you against countries who are aiding us in the struggle against apartheid that Europe brought here. In the struggle against European colonialism in Africa. If those countries are uniting against it, we'll unite with them. And this is what these leaders should say. That's what Traore should say. He should never back down. He should say Russia's willing to help us fight the jihadist groups that the U.S. has been propping up all across Africa and all across the world. That the UAE is currently propping up in Africa. That the U.S. propped up in Libya. Why would we side with them or hate the people who they hate on behalf of them? They've done nothing for us. Why would we hate the people who are helping us on behalf of them? I mean, how stupid would the African revolutionary leaders have to be to condemn Russia for trying to help them because the U.S. wants them to? Come on, Western journalists. But Western journalists, you know, they live in this world of lies and propaganda. They essentially live in the twilight zone. So ML's on the rise, not going anywhere. You're damn right, buddy. Our time is coming here in America, finally. Word, Eddie. Word, Maria. Thank you. Thank you. We make peace with our enemies. Who else do we make peace with? Russia is a partner of Israel. Yeah, but the USSR, but Russia is actively supporting Traore and actively funding and backing these, or I don't know about directly funding, but maybe indirectly funding and backing these anti-colonial revolutions in Africa. And they always have. That's because of the legacy and the history and the tradition of the USSR, which was a huge part of the, we consider the end of World War II to be the time where colonialism ended and was replaced with neocolonialism. That was because the USSR, or partly because the USSR was helping to back these anti-colonial movements globally. And, Russia has carried on that legacy in Africa. And of course, it's because they want influence, right? They want governments that are more loyal to them rather than governments that are loyal to the United States, their enemies. But, so there's self-interest involved, but still. It's a great thing. And, that's the legacy of socialism shining through in Russia today, which, yes, there are oligarchs in Russia. Yes, Russia is not what it used to be. Russia's no longer a socialist republic, but that legacy and that tradition remains. And you see that in their policy today and in the actions of Putin in a lot of ways. Mecca Gaddafi, new member. Let's go. Thank you, comrade. Enjoy the member perks. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's become a new member today. Y'all rock. What do you think about Russia-Ukraine war? I have a lot of content on this on my channel. Just search Midwestern Marx Ukraine or Midwestern Marx Russia. And also, I would answer your question fully, but I went on a huge rant about this already earlier in the stream. So you could actually just rewind the stream to like the first 5-10 minutes, and you'll see me screaming about Russia, Ukraine at some trolls in the chat. So Putin's policy is to sell all its resources to NATO and China ASAP. I hope not. It doesn't seem like that, but that would be a huge betrayal. Well, in terms of NATO. I don't know what you mean about selling all their resources to China. They're forging stronger economic partnerships with China, that's for sure, which is good. I could see Putin selling out to NATO. I don't think that's the way he's going right now, though. So long as the war in Ukraine continues. I mean, he hasn't given us any evidence. That's not true. He's been more friendly with NATO than, I would like him to be. But again, they're not a socialist country anymore. It's Russia. We're just talking about how some of their policy is, they're not just fully on board with NATO and the U.S. imperialists today. And that's largely because of the legacy of socialism and the legacy of what that country has always represented globally, or at least since World War II, which is still, there's a reason they still celebrate Victory Day in Russia and why they brought Ibrahim Traore to Moscow for Victory Day, right? They haven't forgotten the legacy of the Soviet Union and the defeat of fascism. So, yeah, well, that's all I got for today, folks, unless you all had anything else you wanted to discuss pressing. Talking about Africa, it's been a good hour and 15-minute stream here. Good Tuesday midday stream. I hope this gave you something to listen to while the majority of you are probably at work. Gave us a few good clips that I can upload to the YouTube channel. Make sure to check out patreon.com/MidwesternMarks. Although we had a lot of people become YouTube members today, so shout out to you all for that. I appreciate that. That's basically like becoming a patron, except YouTube's going to rob you of like 30% of your money. But either way, Patreon only robbed you of 5%, by the way, just so you know. But we appreciate all our YouTube members and all our super chatters. Please follow Carlos's TikTok account, Professor Carlos El Garrido. We are getting that TikTok account off the ground. It's soon to be our 9th mega viral TikTok account that the Institute has created. We've created 8. It's time for a 9th. I've also advised Jackson, and his TikTok account has now blown up too. I've advised him on how to not get banned and how to do a few things. Obviously, I'm not taking credit for that. Jackson is really hardworking and really good at getting social media engagement for anti-imperialist causes. But yeah, the Institute is pumping out viral TikTok accounts, so follow Carlos El Garrido. Thank you all. Appreciate everybody. Oh, we got one more question here. Eddie, have you heard of the Central African dictator Jean Bedel Bokassa? If you look him up, you will immediately despise him. The French actually helped overthrow Bokassa and then gave him asylum. Oh, I've never heard of him. Is that like okay, it looks like a real person. All right, I'll look into it. Maybe we'll talk about it on the next stream. But anyways, thank you all for hanging out today. This was an awesome stream. I'm glad I got to hop on midday and hang out with the chat a little bit, answer some questions, answer your super chats. Appreciate you all. The number one thing, I've gotten through all my promotions, but the number one thing I have to promote, acp.us. Join the party. Let's get to work transforming this country for the future generations that are going to inherit it. If we don't, who will? Right? Join the party. Right. Voice crack. Join the party at acp.us/join. Check out the Red America Journal at the ACP website as well. And we'll see you on the next one. Solidarity, everyone.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no rights. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations, we've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor. We defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from above. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in a song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time.